Welcome on the Cosmic Atom. Have you ever pondered why some ladies live alone? They don't have a boyfriend or a partner and don't appear to be seeking for one. The solution is not loneliness, a lack of choices, or grief. It is in something more unpleasant, unnerving, and deconstructs what we have been taught about a woman's position. Because when a woman chooses to be alone, she does not become lost. She's discovering herself. And that type of self-discovery does not come with accolades, likes, or company. It comes with stillness, power, and a freedom that many people still don't grasp. No, she is not lonely. She has high standards. She isn't chilly. She just became weary of blazing for those who never wanted to experience the warmth. A woman who does not need a relationship to feel entire is deeply disturbing because it undermines the logic of control, dismantles the fantasy of emotional reliance, and discloses a terrible reality. Most guys don't know what to do with a lady who does not need rescue. Most women are still learning to identify themselves in the quiet but resounding mirror of power. Carl Jung famously claimed that whatever we reject about ourselves becomes part of our shadow, and many of these solitary ladies represent the collective darkness. Many people want to be like them, but few have the confidence to do so. They do not scream for love. They whisper their decisions. They do not put themselves on show to get attention. They withdraw to protect themselves. They're more concerned in their own tranquility than in dazzling princes. And this makes people uneasy, because although the world demands that you be with someone, these ladies have found the value of being with themselves. The lady who lives alone and without a lover is not lost. She operates on a separate level, one in which nothing is asked for. It is selected when permission is not required. Presence is sufficient, and maybe that is why she elicits so much criticism, judgment, and efforts to identify or explain herself. But what many people don't realize is that behind her seeming absence is a presence that fills the void, transcending the problems and the emotional status quo. She does not desire just any kind of love. She wants something that will not diminish her. And until it happens, she remains strong and complete. Perhaps you don't understand it right now. Perhaps you believe it's hyperbole, pride, or emotional harm disguised. But deep down, far down, there's a doubt inside you. A quiet one that pulses even when you try not to notice it. What if the quiet route is the only one that leads to the most vital kind of love? The one that begins with you. The stillness that surrounds a woman who lives alone is not empty. It's a refuge. Those who do not appreciate the significance of that distance often describe her as cold, aloof, or even arrogant. But few people realize that she didn't create that castle to keep the world out. She constructed it so she wouldn't lose herself. Carl Jung also said that whatever we don't confront in ourselves, we project onto others. And maybe that is why so many women still associate isolation with absence, when it can really be a rich place for self-discovery. While most individuals seek fulfillment via exterior relationships, this lady turned her focus within. And there, in the immensity of her own consciousness, she confronted the ghosts she'd avoided for years. Childhood wounds, unspoken abandonments, attachments posed as love. Her desire to remain alone sprang from a healed scar rather than an open wound. She never stopped believing in love. She just stopped embracing what others termed love, which only made her feel smaller. This lady understands turmoil. She loved till she lost herself. She gave too much. She has pleaded for crumbs that should never have been given in the first place. But she awoke eventually, and it was not a quick awakening. It was a sequence of disappointments that led to the end of pain and the beginning of teaching. What you perceive now is not cold. It is emotional maturity. And adulthood is frightening because it requires presence, depth, and honesty. She does not want just any company. She seeks reciprocity. She is no longer drawn to promises, but to genuine presence. Perhaps this is why she seems unapproachable to many people. She refuses to be rescued. She wants to be noticed. That requires more than charm or pleasant words. It takes guts to go into the depths where few dare to tread. And here is where many people lose up, not because she's challenging, but because she is whole. When a woman becomes entire, she is more aware of the world's extremes. Admiration and dread. Admiration from people who are likewise searching for completeness. Fear from those who continue to live in halves, waiting for someone else to make them feel whole. She does not want to complete anybody. She wants to overflow with someone who has also discovered herself. Until then, she stays alone, not because of destiny, but because she is devoted to her own spirit. This lady is not hiding. She is defending herself. There is a significant distinction between isolating and conserving oneself. But the world does not readily accept a lady like her. A world that continues to preach happily ever after. It only occurs in pairs. A world that distrusts individuals who do not have a spouse, as if it were an indication of failure. Carl Jung famously observed that when convention prevails, there is little opportunity for authenticity. And this lady does not follow tradition. She lives by essence. She hears statements like, "You are too picky. You should be more open. Nobody is perfect." And she grins, a serene, steady, even sardonic smile, since she understands that what others consider finicky is only the basic minimum. It took her decades to grasp what she deserved. She isn't aiming for perfection. She's seeking for someone mature enough to love without harming them, someone who has already gone through the inner work. And let's be honest, that's not something you see on every street corner. The pain she evokes stems from something other than her words. It is in what she symbolizes. She is live evidence that happiness may be achieved without relying on others. And the tears come off. Men who feed on women's insecurities feel threatened. Women who remain caught in the desire for acceptance feel judged. But she's not here to face anybody. She's just being. And the genuineness of someone who has broken free serves as a harsh mirror to those who remain enslaved. This lady is not in a rush. She does not have to hurry things to suit anybody. She respects her own pace. And for that, she incites a quiet rage in a culture that demands everything immediately. While the rest of the world is looking for diversions, she wants depth. She seeks presence, but the world only provides limited availability. She longs for soul-level connections while everyone else tries to seem interested in the next Instagram story. And she adds, "No, it is not a game." It's true. When she goes away, there is no drama. It is self-defense. It is not arrogant for her to remain at home rather than go out with someone who is empty-handed. It is clarity, and the insight gained through grief and sacrifice is her greatest revolution. Because she does not live to please. She lives to be. That simple deed is what makes her so dangerous to the system. Perhaps what bothers people the most about this lady is not her loneliness. It is the tranquility she has discovered inside herself. Carl Jung believed that individuals who gaze outwards dream, while those who look within awaken. And it was just this on a voyage she took. It was not easy. It was a hard process of removing masks, confronting the ghosts of emotional dependence, and reconstructing oneself piece by piece. She no longer defines herself via the perspectives of others. She sees herself through her own eyes, and this alters everything. How many times have you questioned if being alone equals failure or freedom? How many times have you felt the need to defend yourself for being alone? This lady has also felt that way. She originally believed there was something wrong with her for living alone in a culture that idolizes couples, even sad ones. But one day she realized it was better to be alone than invisible in a partnership. That day, she struck a contract with herself. She would never again take anything less than what she genuinely deserved. Her route isn't straight. There are days of uncertainty, moments of yearning, and nights of profound quiet. However, there's a strength that develops with each conscious choice. She realized that pure love does not trap, devour, or manipulate. She wants the type of love that liberates and provides support, without smothering. And until that love comes, she decides to continue developing on her own, not for pride, but for honesty. This lady is a live example of Jung's individuation. She splintered, confronted her darkness, went into the unconscious, and emerged more complete than ever. And now that she has recognized herself, she refuses to be half of anything else. She does not want someone to complete her. She wants someone to share her consciousness with. That is daunting because it requires emotional responsibility, and unfortunately, few people are ready to love properly. Most people still love out of need, ownership, or fear. And if she walks alone today, it's because every stride is infused with knowledge. Every knowledge she imparts is an act of self-respect. Every absence she imposes serves as a reminder that love should never be sought for. She no longer has to prove anything to anybody. And that confidence, generated from the depths of her spirit, changes everything around her. Because a woman who has found herself is dangerous, not because of her weaponry, but because of her candor. The lady who lives alone without a lover is not the same as the woman who used to beg for love. Something inside her broke, and it was this break that set her free. Because sometimes only in collapse can the soul find its new shape. Carl Jung once said that the tree that climbs to heaven must have roots that stretch down to hell. And that is precisely what she went through. She fell into the hell of her own tale, confronted with ancestral anxieties, inherited agony, and traumas that were not unique to her, but shared by all women who came before her. She broke cycles. She said no to partnerships that followed the same poisonous script. She realized that it wasn't her role to heal, preserve, or take crumbs out of fear of being alone. And when she refused to accept less, the world sought to persuade her she was wrong. But she stood firm, first with hesitation, then with knowledge, and last with invulnerability. Because someone who has experienced their own abyss no longer fears absence. She learns to nurture herself with stillness and warm herself with her own presence. She is not unreachable. She will no longer allow herself to be invaded. Opening your heart is not the same as allowing yourself to be ripped apart. She opens, yes, but only for the people that arrive. In actuality, not with polished platitudes or bogus assurances that she has seen enough to distinguish between presence and performance. Her sense has become sharper. Her energy is a filter. She can tell what is lacking in depth from a distance and does not hesitate to walk away. Her metamorphosis is not superficial. It is archetypal. It's as if she's tapped into an ancient knowledge, a long-held belief that women were not intended to serve, but to express, not to be sculpted, but to overflow. And accessing that memory reawakened in her a wild woman, perceptive, emotionally sovereign, a woman who, although being alone, is far from lost. She is in connection with something larger via her own destiny. And no matter how hard people attempt to reduce her to labels like cold, tough, and distant, nothing sticks since she no longer lives to fit in. She lives to expel and no longer competes for attention. She exudes presence. She no longer waits to be picked. She does the selecting. And this inversion of logic perplexes those who continue to want to control the feminine. But she is no longer there. She has already passed the barrier. On the other hand, she found that the true partnership starts only once you've loved yourself enough to stop needing others. There's something holy about the way she moves through the world. She does not need applause or public approbation. Her confidence is subtle, and it is in the stillness that her actual power exists. Carl Jung once claimed that whatever we confront inside ultimately becomes our destiny. And maybe that is why, by repeatedly selecting herself, this lady has created a destiny that few comprehend, but many secretly envy. She no longer makes empty promises or convinces anybody that she deserves love. She does not beg for room in anyone's life, since she has learnt that presence should never be asked for. It should be invited, and when the invitation isn't genuine, she just rejects. She does not get angry or resentful. She walks away with the dignity of someone who has been lost too many times to risk the same pain again. What few people realize is that this lady is still looking for love. She still wants to be held, caressed, and chosen. But she wants everything without losing herself, since she spent too long trying to fit into molds that are too narrow for the spirit she bears now. She only gives herself when there is space to be entire. And this requires a degree of maturity that extends well beyond romanticism. It demands attentiveness. It means confronting one's own darkness while yet choosing to love. She isn't seeking for fairy tales. She's seeking for a soul alliance, a partnership in which there is neither dominance or submission, where both may develop alongside one another without darkening their colors, suppressing their anguish, or limiting their aspirations. And if it is too much for others, so be it, because she would rather wait than rely on emotional crumbs. And there are too many that may seem to be arrogance, but it is really genuine self-love. We are witnessing the new archetype of woman, a woman who has walked away from the surface and descended into the depths, who has grown tired of being merely desired and has chosen to be respected, who has chosen to be alone, not because she has abandoned love, but because she has realized that true love never requires self-denial. When a woman realizes that her whole world is changing, she doesn't have to raise her voice to be heard. Her presence precedes any words. Wherever she walks, the energy alters as if something in the room realigns imperceptibly. But clearly, this is not mysticism. It is energy. It's the weight of someone who has previously fought the most horrific inner warfare and chosen to return in peace. Not because she overcame all of her worries, but because she learned to live with them without being defeated. Carl Jung would argue that she discovered completeness not by removing opposites, but by integrating them. This lady does not refuse love. She's just learned not to accept imbalanced partnerships in which one must darken to allow the other to shine. She longs to be loved, but not in a way that requires her essence to be modified. A love that allows her to be both shade and light. Laughter and tears, silence and storm. Because she recognized that individuals who just love the lovely bits have yet to understand the true meaning of love. And those who expect perpetual sweetness still fail to appreciate the beauty of bitterness. She must resist the temptation to settle for herbs, to accept imprisonment disguised as care, to be too sensitive to bear weak ties, and to be strong enough to continue on this road even when it hurts, is lonely, or is misunderstood. That is the path of an enlightened soul, foregoing immediate affirmation in favor of deeper truth. The world has a deep dread of women like her. Women who don't need women who don't bow. Women who refuse to be molded because they challenge unseen structures, question old patterns, and break silent emotional contracts. Someone once remarked that a woman's value is solely determined by her relationship with someone. And when she violates those contracts and rewrites her own story, she inspires others. That for the system is dangerously innovative. So she continues, sometimes with tears in her eyes, sometimes with her chest up, but always with her feet firmly planted on the earth. Because she now realizes she is not alone. She is alone. And after all she's been through, it is more than sufficient. The love that follows after that will not be salvation, but rather celebration. It will not come and fill her. It will eventually flood. When a woman decides to go alone, the world hurries to persuade her she is making a mistake. But deep inside, she feels something in her lining. It's not about pride or revolt. It's a special kind of knowledge that can only be experienced in quiet. The same knowledge Jung referred to as individuation. The process of being who you really are without masks or compromise. When that occurs, nothing outside of her has greater power than the truth that beats inside her chest. The truth does not need to be shouted. It may manifest itself in the way she calmly shuts a door without animosity, or in how she withdraws when her surroundings no longer feed her. She grins peacefully even when she is alone, since she has realized that being alone is not a punishment. It is a promise of fidelity to her own soul, and the soul of an awakened woman does not surrender, dull, or plead. It just is. That's enough. The world will continue to convince her she is missing something. It will continue to provide diversions. Plastic Princess love is designed for exhibition, but she has already glimpsed behind a veil. She has already understood. It is not about finding someone. It's about not losing yourself again. And when that awareness dawns, everything changes. Desire becomes discernment. Lack gives way to options. Waiting becomes a pathway. And what once hurt now educates. And what was once bound now frees. You can feel it deep inside, that stirring, that spark. Perhaps it's a recollection, an old pain, or a yearning that never made sense. Perhaps it is the picture of a lady you used to know, or the woman you have become. In either instance, something inside you yearns to be seen more clearly, something that no longer fits within old molds. Something that, if you let it, has the potential to dramatically revolutionize how you connect to love for others and, most crucially, yourself. The lady who lives alone is more than simply an exception. She is a living metaphor of emotional freedom, demonstrating that it is possible to rebuild without haste, fear, or the need to prove anything to anybody. She does not walk ahead of anybody, nor does she follow. She carves her own route, one that is distinct and inviolable, and along the way, she sets little fires for others who will awaken to see whether this narrative touched something inside of them. Perhaps it's because you, too, are ready for a new kind of love. A love that starts with reconciliation with oneself. A love that thrives on stillness, presence, and the truth. A love that cannot be bargained, pleaded for, or hidden. And if that love hasn't arrived yet, it's possible that you needed to become the woman who will no longer take anything less than what she deserves. And if this message came at the appropriate time, or reawakened someone you forgot existed within you, I encourage you not to keep it to yourself. Share this video with other ladies who need to rekindle their inner power. I like it. Comment and subscribe to this channel. Not out of instinct, but by decision. Because when something affects our souls, the least we can do is allow it to continue echoing inside and through us. Dear viewers, your support through Super Chat and membership is the only source of income that keeps this channel running. If you want me to continue uploading valuable content without delays and to stay motivated in providing you with the best wisdom, I need your help. Every contribution, big or small, makes a huge difference. Feel free to donate and support Pure Wisdom so we can keep growing together. Your generosity keeps this journey alive. Thank you for being part of this amazing community. If you're enjoying the content on Pure Wisdom and find value in the messages we share, I encourage you to subscribe. Based on the latest analytics, 93.9% of viewers are watching without subscribing. By subscribing, you not only stay updated with new content, but also support the channel's growth, allowing us to continue spreading wisdom for the chosen ones. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an important message. Let's build this community together.